Èmi láti inú ṣọ́ọ̀ṣì ní òbí ẹ̀wọ̀n láti Sunday service mo ti wọnú ogun yìí mo bọ́ lè ní Ọlọ́run tó yọ mí lọ́wọ́ ogun ẹ̀wọ̀n yìí.
Prophet Babatunde Alfa, the founder of Sotito Bire Praising Chapel, is out of prison. Man, how did I miss this story? I've been following it up. I even did a recording about it last year, so it took me by surprise to see that he's out and he resumed his duties as a prophet. Yet we do not know what happened to the missing one-year-old boy who got lost in this church. I know that some of you are wondering, who is this man and why am I talking about him? I told the full story last year about how he ended up in prison in the first place, so check below for the link. But here's a recap of what happened for those who don't want to go elsewhere. Miss Kolawole had attended the church service in his church with her one-year-old son and took him to the creche section of the church on the advice of the church administration. By the time the church service was over and people were returning home with their children, the baby was nowhere to be found. Mrs. Kolawole said she had often been told to take her son to the creche section but refused because he was just too young, but then he hadn't been walking, so she felt that maybe if she brings her son to the creche where there are other children, they could motivate her son to start walking. I mean, it's such a very tender age and every parents want their kids to pick up. So it was in June of 2019 that she first set her foot on that church premises. She was invited by a family friend who thought their spiritual life would be better if they attended the church. Now, according to her, when she first attended the church, she noticed the church prayed fervently, like the old-time churches, and she thought that as a young couple, she and her husband would benefit from the feeling of power noticed around the church. So she said that she was attracted to the church when she had wonderful testimonies of miracles told by members of the church every time at the church services. But her case was not to be so. She came with joy but returned with sorrow, a deep one she is still battling to vanquish. She remembered meeting a guy when she arrived at the church in the morning, and the guy was extra friendly and asked her lots of personal questions. She thought that perhaps it's just one of those routine things of church, try to find out who their new member is. She also noticed that the guy was very close to Pastor Babatunde Alfa. Now, during the church service, the guy was sitting behind her in the church hall. The period the incident happened, when her baby was taken, the pastor declared a 30-minute prayer. He said whoever did not close his eyes during the prayer would die before December. She also said that the guy at the time was no longer behind her when she opened her eyes. She said the pastor was also strolling behind her for like 30 minutes, preaching and repeating himself. So when she returned to the creche to check on her son, the child was not there, and neither could the 14 caregivers give account of what happened to the boy. At first, they lied that someone came and picked up the boy, but she was upset, like she was the only one who came to this church and she was the one who dropped him off, so why would they release him to someone else? So she ran around harassing other children in their cars, asking parents, peeping everywhere, checking to see perhaps if the boy followed one of the kids. But then at the end of the day, it was clear that someone had taken her child away. Now, while she was looking for her child, this guy whom has been following her around and asking questions was the one showing caring attitude. He was all over the place, helping her look, asking her questions, asking her what her husband has done, and trying to know every step they had been taking to find the boy. Now, another suspicious thing she noticed was that the same Sunday night while the pastor was in his office, it was only that man that was walking towards the office intermittently, fiddling with his phone. So now, while they were invited to the anti-kidnapping office because they finally reported the case to the police, this same guy came to the place with the pastor's car. While they went to the Deputy Commissioner's of Police office, the same guy was also there. So they got to realize that he is close to the pastor, but they did not know his name or who he was. So now, when they started suspecting him and telling the DPO, like, this guy is a prime suspect, he seemed to know something that no one knows. And then the guy stopped coming to the station, the guy stopped, helping them look for the kid. So they could not find him anymore. In fact, the church and the pastor presented another person entirely as the suspect. They were trying to confuse the police, trying to mess up the investigation. But the boy's mother knew who she saw at the church, but they were trying to confuse her with another guy. So another thing that raised her suspicion was that there were 14 ushers in the children's section, about 12 female and 2 males. Now, while they were at the anti-kidnapping office, only one man showed up at the King's Palace, because this case was reported in different places. They reported it to the police, they reported it to the King of Akure's palace. Only 2 men showed up. Now, when they went to the Deputy Commissioner of Police office, only 2 other workers were brought. They were never coming at the same time, just 2 here, 1 there. Now, not entirely the 14 people. The last time the king sent for them all to appear before him, they came with 3. The church brought 3 men with their senior workers. 1 day had passed, then 1 week, and then a whole month. This woman could not find her child, and still no traces of any suspect. So she said that from the very beginning of the issue, she suspected foul play from the church authorities and would hold them responsible for the disappearance of the child. After her son was declared missing, the founder of the church, Alfa Babatunde, who had promised to ensure the child was found, did not want the matter immediately reported to the police. He was begging them, to return home and be calm while efforts would be made. Although the police had begun investigation in the matter, the State Security Service arrested the founder of the church, Alfa Babatunde. But of course, the prophet denied all the allegations against him, saying he had nothing to do with the missing child. He also said the parents of the child had not shown enough commitment and that he had offered to help in any way. He also complained of the family of the parents of the child attacking the church premises and destroying properties over the issue. Now, fast forward to 2020, a high court in Akure sentenced the founder and the prophet and 5 others to life imprisonment over the disappearance of the 1-year-old boy. Then on December 3rd, 2021, the Court of Appeal in Akure acquitted this prophet of all charges. That's how this case ended. And that little boy is still missing. And the most shocking part is you can see the prophet dancing, you can see his church members dancing, celebrating his release, and he's priding himself as the man whom God has chosen to lead his people, and he's more than excited to go back to his church. But then the boy is still missing, and no one knows what happened to him. The grieving parents are still there. Well, that's it for today's story. Thank you for watching, and please like and subscribe to my channel. If you have any questions or comments, drop them below. Also, I have a TikTok channel where I record short stories. Search for me at Stories with Oluchi on TikTok so that you can see all these quick last-minute stories that I might not share on YouTube. Thank you again for watching, and have a good day.